Today's program is brought to you by OTCStockShark.com. For the latest and greatest OTC and Pink Sheets information, sign up for your account at OTCStockShark.com. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.
In today's financial news, the energy sector led a drop in stocks that left the market sharply lower than the close as traders fretted about legal wrangling between oil industries and Washington over post-spill drilling restrictions. A volatile market swing was set off by reports that a federal judge in New Orleans had blocked a 6-month moratorium on new deepwater drilling projects that was put in place by the White House in response to the Gulf oil spill. The administration vowed to appeal the decision. The S&P 500's energy sector enjoyed a brief bounce from its season lows immediately following the court decision, but it soon tumbled to end below its pre-decision level, off 2.7%. Many of the individual drillers and oil producers in the index followed a similar pattern. Analysts said the late-day market sell-off reflected uncertainty over possible legal skirmishes to come. Traders said the slide was also made worse by the lack of long-term conviction among investors that had been the hallmark of the market, often contributing to late-day swings.
In U.S. news, a Pakistani-born American citizen pleaded guilty of attempting to set off a car bomb in New York's Times Square, saying that Islamist extremists would continue to attack the United States. Shahzad, who is 30, admitted traveling to Pakistan to receive bomb-making training from the Pakistani Taliban and receiving $12,000 from the group to carry out the failed plot. Shahzad has a wife and 2 children living in Pakistan, pleaded guilty to 10 charges, including attempted use of a weapon of mass destruction and attempted terrorism transcending national borders. He faces mandatory life in prison. "I'm going to plead guilty 100 times over," Shahzad told the court, "until the United States stops drone aircraft attacks and the occupation of Muslim lands." Shahzad said, "We will be attacking the United States, and I plead guilty to that." He said his intention was to do damage to the building, injure the people, or kill people. Shahzad awkwardly parked a sports utility vehicle in Times Square with its engine running and hazard lights flashing. "I ignited the fuses and I gave the time of 2.5 to 5 minutes, and I left the car," Shahzad told the court. "I was waiting to hear a sound." But street vendors alerted police to the smoking vehicle within minutes, and thousands of people were evacuated from the popular theater district. A bomb squad defused the crude device, which included firecrackers and propane gas tanks.
In today's tech news, your internet service provider knows where you live, and soon it will have a way to sell your zip code to advertisers so they can target ads by neighborhood. If your local pizza joint wants to find you, they will have a new way to do that. National advertisers will be able to market directly to neighborhoods with like characteristics across the whole country using demographic data they've been gathering for decades. As websites continue to push for higher advertising rates similar to what print publications command, this technology could allow them to boost their rates slightly. Juniper Networks, which sells routers to ISPs, plans to start selling them on add-on technology from digital marketer Fiva that affixes a tag inside the HTTP header, consisting of each user's zip plus 4, a 9-digit zip code that offers more accuracy than 5-digit codes. Juniper hopes to sell the software to ISPs starting this summer, having announced a partnership with Fiva earlier this year.
In entertainment news, Recovery, the new album from rapper Eminem, could not be more aptly named for a music business facing an alarming fall in sales so far this year. The Detroit star's 7th studio album hit shelves a day earlier than planned after tracks leaked onto the internet. It comes after the release of Canadian artist Drake's debut, Thank Me Later, which is also expected to perform strongly. But the duo are unlikely to lift the gloom hanging over the music business for long, with year-to-date U.S. physical and digital album sales by early June down 11% year-on-year to 130 million, extending a decade-long decline. To make matters worse, the recent boom in touring, which labels and bands sought to exploit as recorded music faded, is showing signs of weaknesses caused by high ticket prices and economic doubt, and digital download growth is slowing. Official figures for the key U.S. markets as it approaches mid-year show how tough conditions are for music companies and who blame illegal file sharing for their woes. Analysts put the low figure down to a weak lineup, and Drake's record is forecast to be one of the largest launches of the year so far, while Eminem with another album follows hot on its heels.
These are the most powerful songs of all time. Time Life presents Classical Power on 5 CDs for just $29.99. But wait, order in the next 10 minutes with your credit card, and we'll cut the price to just $14.99. That's right, you get 5 CDs for just $14.99. Then preview other beautiful classical CDs. Satisfaction guaranteed. This collection is not sold in stores, so call now and get Time Life's Classical Power on 5 CDs for just $14.99.
Call 1-800-731-0511 to order Classical Power for $14.99 plus shipping when you call in the next 10 minutes with your credit card or order online at timelife.com/power.
In health news, for many of us, summer means more time outdoors and less time lost putting on and taking off multiple layers of clothing. That in turn means more time and tissue exposed to the single biggest cause of skin damage and cancer, ultraviolet radiation. Despite a flourishing market in sunscreens and to a lesser extent sun protective clothing, as well as dermatologist campaign going back to 1983, millions of Americans continue to abuse the rays that in small doses help maintain health, but in larger doses can destroy it. And not just when the summer sun shines. For some who frequent tanning in a salon or own a tanning bed, sun worship is a year-round activity. Dermatologists whose incomes are bolstered by the fallout from UV abuse nonetheless express great frustration with their seeming inability to deter tanning behavior, particularly among adolescents and young adults, who are most at risk for the ill effects from these otherwise life-giving rays. There are many explanations for this failure, including the widespread belief that people look better when they are tan. This notion has helped to foster the multi-billion-dollar indoor tanning industry, supported by some young patrons as often as 20 times a month. But in recent years, another explanation has emerged for which there is now considerable scientific support: the idea that exposing one's skin to UV radiation has addictive potential. As with alcohol, not everyone who is exposed becomes dependent on the sun, but there are enough UV abusers, 1 in 5 college students, and 70% of indoor tanners to warrant a new medical diagnostic category, tanning addiction. And so the incidence of skin cancers, including potentially fatal melanoma, continues to rise. This year, 3.5 million new cases of superficial but often disfiguring skin cancers and an estimated 68,000 melanomas will be diagnosed among Americans.
In today's green news, around the world, honeybee populations are shrinking. Some colonies suffer from infestations of parasitic mites, others the widespread use of pesticides, and some struggle to cope with changing climate conditions. But deep in the Sahara Desert, one colony of bees lives in a blissful isolation, as it has for 10,000 years. Honeybees, of course, cannot survive in deserts devoid of any substantial vegetation. Across the Sahara, however, bees are thriving in oases, often with the aid of local beekeepers who move colonies to foster diversification and production. In the Libyan oasis of Kufra and Barak, bees have survived without this assistance. Researchers believe the bee populations first entered the region when it was lush and full of plants at least 5,000 years ago. Since the sands of the desert surrounded these small areas of vegetation, they have been protected from human intervention. The isolation has saved the bees from many of the threats causing colony collapse around the world, but it also allowed them to develop unique genetic traits found nowhere else. The researchers are now racing to unlock the secrets of these unique colonies in hopes that their resilience could help bees in other places. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.